right, let me take you on a little journey into the world of luxury, where diamonds aren't just about sparkle, where every watch is a masterpiece, and where each piece of jewelry tells a story. Yep, we're talking about Cartier, the brand that turned luxury into an art form like no other. Picture this: it's 1847, Paris is buzzing with energy, and a guy named Louis Francois Cartier sets up a tiny jewelry workshop. No one could have predicted that his name would one day echo around the world. Yet, from that small shop, a legend was born. But Cartier is more than just a fancy name on a posh storefront. It's the embodiment of timeless luxury, a brand that's adapted, innovated, and evolved while staying true to its heritage. In this episode, we're going to break down how Cartier went from a small Parisian boutique to an iconic luxury house known for its daring designs and elegance. We'll dive into the behind the scenes of this success story, from its legendary creations like the Tank Watch to its influence on pop culture and its commitment to ethical and responsible jewelry making. So, grab your cappuccino, take a bite of that croissant, and let me guide you through the centuries of craftsmanship and innovation that have made Cartier the ultimate symbol of French luxury. And remember, luxury isn't just about the price tag, it's about the story. In 1847, in the vibrant 19th century Paris, Louis Francois Cartier took over the workshop of his master, Adolphe Picard, located at 29 Rue Montorgueil. Picture a Paris in the midst of transformation, where high society mingles with artisans, and the opulence of Parisian salons contrasts sharply with the still muddy streets. In this setting, Louis Francois, armed with a vision and an undeniable talent for jewelry making, laid the first stones of what would eventually become an empire. But Louis Francois wasn't just any jeweler, he was a visionary. While most artisans of the time were content with following trends, Louis Francois understood that to stand out, one had to innovate, but more importantly, anticipate the desires of the elite. He began building relationships with the great families of the Parisian nobility, who saw in him not just a jeweler, but a confidant of their tastes and aspirations. It was within this context that Cartier made its first notable breakthrough. In 1859, the workshop moved to 9 Boulevard des Italiens, right at the heart of Parisian elegance. This wasn't just a change of address, it was a statement. By then, Cartier was becoming a name among the Parisian elite, and that's when things started to get really interesting. In 1874, Alfred Cartier, Louis Francois' son, joined the family business. Under his direction, Cartier continued to grow, but it was with Louis Francois' grandsons, Louis, Pierre, and Jacques, that the house truly gained international prominence. Each brother had their own talent and a complementary vision for Cartier. Louis, the eldest, stayed in Paris, driving innovation to its limits. Pierre moved to New York, bringing Parisian chic to the American upper class. Meanwhile, Jacques expanded into England, opening a boutique in London in 1902, just in time for King Edward VII's ascent to the throne. Speaking of Edward VI, the man was a known lover of luxury and elegance, and he quickly became a loyal client. It was he who famously declared, "Cartier is the jeweler of kings and the king of jewelers." That wasn't just a flattering remark from a monarch, it was an acknowledgement of Cartier's unprecedented position. The brand had transcended its status as a mere jeweler to become a symbol of power and prestige. At the turn of the century, Cartier was no longer simply following trends, it was creating them. In Paris, Louis Cartier, inspired by the exoticism of the East and the emerging Art Deco motifs, designed bold pieces that captivated the imagination of high society. Among these iconic creations was the Santos watch, designed in 1904 for Brazilian aviator Alberto Santos Dumont, a close friend of Louis. This wasn't just a watch, it was a symbol of modernity, progress, and a new era where luxury intertwined with technological innovation. But that's not all. Cartier, being a true strategist in the luxury world, understood that to dominate the global market, it had to be where the wealth was concentrated. This led to one of Pierre Cartier's most brilliant moves in 1917, when he traded a pearl necklace for a property at the corner of Fifth Avenue and 52nd Street in New York, one of the city's most prestigious locations. What had started as a small Parisian workshop had, within a few decades, become a global brand synonymous with excellence and refinement. So, this first segment makes one thing clear. Cartier didn't just follow trends, it anticipated and even created them. The house built its empire not only on the quality of its creations, but also on a brilliant strategy of expansion and branding. From Louis Francois to his grandsons, Cartier evolved from a modest workshop into a luxury powerhouse whose influence continues to resonate across the world today. Cartier's style and identity. Based in Paris, he quickly realized that to stand out, Cartier needed to go beyond mere jewelry making. This was the Belle Epoque, and Paris was the beating heart of global elegance. It was in this atmosphere that Louis began to lay the foundation for what would become Cartier's timeless aesthetic. One of his first major innovations was the creation of the Santos watch in 1904, made for his friend, aviator Alberto Santos Dumont. What was revolutionary about this watch was that it was designed specifically to be worn on the wrist, an idea that was almost shocking at a time when pocket watches were the norm. But Louis Cartier saw further ahead. He envisioned a society on the move, where practicality and style had to coexist. The Santos wasn't just a functional piece of jewelry, it became a symbol of modernity, embodying the daring spirit of aviation and Parisian elegance. The innovation didn't stop there. In the 1910s, Louis was fascinated by the East, by exotic motifs, and by the emerging Art Deco movement. He drew inspiration from these influences to create bold pieces that stood in stark contrast to the flowery, naturalistic styles of the time. Take, for example, the famous Tutti Frutti bracelet, adorned with rubies, emeralds, and sapphires sculpted into shapes inspired by Indian art. It became one of the house's signatures, representing the perfect blend of tradition and modernity, a dialogue between cultures that still resonates in Cartier's designs today. Cartier's Art Deco style, characterized by geometric lines, clean shapes, and striking contrasts, quickly became a phenomenon. This was no longer just jewelry, it was a declaration of intent, an aesthetic manifesto that attracted elites from around the world. Cartier's creations adorned queens, princesses, and Hollywood stars who, even then, understood the power of a Cartier piece to captivate both on the big screen and beyond. Think of Gloria Swanson, who wore her Cartier bracelets in Sunset Boulevard, turning those pieces into cinema icons. But Cartier was also a master of marketing, long before the term became fashionable. Louis Cartier knew that to sell a dream, it wasn't enough to create exceptional pieces. They needed to be surrounded by an aura of mystery and exclusivity. This is how the concept of pièces uniques was born. Exclusive, customized creations for the most prestigious clients. This bold strategy for the time cemented Cartier's image as a house for insiders, where each piece told a unique story, engraved in gold and precious stones. Cartier's innovation wasn't limited to Paris. While Louis was revolutionizing the Parisian scene, his brothers Pierre and Jacques were busy exporting Cartier's unique savoir-faire to the world. Pierre, based in New York, understood the importance of seducing the American elite, who were eager to assert their own style and independence from European traditions. In 1917, when he traded a pearl necklace for a property at the corner of Fifth Avenue and 52nd Street, he didn't just secure a prestigious location, he anchored Cartier in the American landscape. The store quickly became a haven for oil magnates, Broadway stars, and even the earliest movie actors, solidifying the brand's international reputation. Meanwhile, Jacques Cartier settled in London, and this is where Cartier became the official jeweler to the British crown. From that moment on, Cartier didn't just create for kings and queens. The house became a key player in the most prestigious ceremonies. From coronations to royal weddings, Jacques also introduced Louis's Oriental influences to the British market, where they were met with resounding success. These influences are seen in iconic creations like brooches and tiaras, which combine the geometric rigor of Art Deco with the richness of Oriental motifs. One of Cartier's most brilliant strategies was to establish itself not just as a jeweler, but as a luxury watchmaker. It was a strategic move that defined a new era for the house. While Swiss watchmaking dominated the market, Cartier decided to turn watches into more than just accessories. They became fashion statements. The tank watch, launched in 1919, is perhaps the most iconic result of this strategy. Inspired by the shape of military tanks used during World War I, when the tank embodied both robustness and elegance, and quickly became a must-have for influential personalities worldwide. From Jackie Kennedy to Andy Warhol, the tank watch graced the wrists of those who set trends, reinforcing Cartier's status as a pioneer in luxury. At the same time, Cartier developed unparalleled expertise in the art of gemology. Precious stones were not just selected for their beauty, but for their history, provenance, and rarity. Cartier became famous for its ability to find and work with the most exceptional stones, such as the Hope Diamond or the Burmese Sunrise Ruby. This mastery of gemstones combined with innovative design gave birth to pieces that were not just jewelry, but works of art. Beyond its creations, Cartier understood that to stay at the top, it also needed to master the art of communication and presentation. Cartier's boutiques weren't just stores. They were theaters where every detail was designed to showcase the pieces on display. The architecture, the lighting, even the staff, everything was carefully curated to create a unique experience where every customer felt special. This attention to detail, this ability to tell a story through space, was integral to Cartier's success. To sum it up, Cartier's style and innovation didn't happen by chance. They were the result of a coherent vision, driven by a desire to push the boundaries of creation while staying true to the house's DNA. From the Santos to the tank watch, from the Tutti Frutti bracelet to royal tiaras, Cartier has created pieces that transcend time and trends, becoming timeless symbols of luxury and sophistication. This segment highlights how Cartier established itself as a leader not only in jewelry, but in trendsetting, branding, and expanding its influence across the world. A house that has never stopped innovating while remaining deeply rooted in its origins, and one that continues to define what luxury means in the 21st century. But don't think Cartier is just about tiaras and iconic watches. No, in recent years, the house has shown it knows how to ride the new waves. If we had to sum up Cartier in just one phrase, it might be eternal luxury. But behind this apparent simplicity lies a much more complex world. First, you have to understand that Cartier doesn't just sell jewelry or watches. They sell an idea of luxury. And not just any idea, one that transcends time without aging a bit. You've probably noticed that everything about Cartier seems designed to last, whether it's their pieces, their branding, or even how they choose their ambassadors. They are masters of storytelling, and every collection, every campaign is a new chapter in a book that never stops captivating. This is where you realize that luxury isn't just about the price tag, it's about the aura. Take their advertising campaigns, for example. Cartier knows that to grab attention in a world saturated with images, they need to create stories that resonate. Remember their 2012 ad L'Odyssée de Cartier? The jewelry wasn't just an object of desire, it was a journey. An epic adventure transporting you from one continent to another. They managed to sell the idea that owning a Cartier piece is like joining a story that began long before you and will continue long after. But their branding doesn't stop at ads. It's everywhere. In the way their boutiques are designed, in the experience they offer their clients. Walking into a Cartier boutique feels like stepping into a sanctuary of luxury. Everything is designed to make you feel special, unique, as if every piece was crafted just for you. And that's the key. They're not just selling a product, they're selling an experience, an emotion. Cartier has also managed to evolve without ever betraying its DNA. Take their venture into ethical jewelry, for example. It wasn't just a marketing ploy to appeal to millennials. They understood that the world is changing and that today's luxury has to be responsible. That's why they've become leaders in ethical high jewelry, with initiatives like the Cartier Foundation for Contemporary Art, which supports artists while promoting a message of innovation and environmental respect. We're far from the ostentatious luxury of the 80s. Today, owning a Cartier piece is a reflection of a certain mindset, a sense of awareness. What's truly fascinating is how Cartier has tapped into the power of younger generations. Have you noticed more and more young celebrities flaunting Cartier pieces? That's no accident. Cartier knows that staying relevant means speaking to the generations that now set the trends. That's why they choose ambassadors like Jake Gyllenhaal or Willow Smith, who embody both classic elegance and the rebellious spirit of today's youth. Cartier isn't just looking to please, they're looking to inspire, to create an emotional connection with their audience. And speaking of inspiration, Cartier doesn't just follow trends, they set them. In a time when everyone's chasing innovation, Cartier bets on continuity. but not continuity in the sense of repetition. Continuity as in constant reinvention. Each collection draws on the brand's codes but reinterprets them to make them relevant in today's world. And that's no small feat, considering we're talking about a brand over 175 years old. Staying ahead of the curve while remaining true to oneself is no easy task. So, what's Cartier's real impact on society today? It's simple. Cartier embodies what luxury should be: the perfect blend of tradition and modernity, heritage and innovation. It's a brand that doesn't just exist, but influences, inspires, and in some way, redefines what luxury means in the 21st century. Cartier has turned luxury into a universal language, understood and desired by everyone, regardless of time or culture. To sum it up, what's truly captivating about Cartier is its ability to remain timeless while being deeply rooted in the present. They are both the inheritors of a centuries old tradition and pioneers of responsible, inclusive luxury. And that's Cartier's real strength, knowing that true luxury lies in being able to remain authentic, no matter the trends or the times. But Cartier isn't just about the past and the present, it's also about a vision for the future. In 2024, the brand continues to reinvent itself with ambassadors who speak to the next generation. You've probably seen V from BTS proudly wearing Cartier's Panther collection, right? Or Paul Mescal, Jisoo, and other international stars in the Centennial campaign for the Trinity collection. These collaborations show how Cartier captures the zeitgeist, blending tradition with modernity. And when it comes to ethics, the brand isn't just all talk. They continue to ensure that every precious stone coming out of their workshops is as pure in its origin as it is in its sparkle. In short, Cartier remains faithful to its DNA while evolving with the times, a real tour de force in the world of luxury. We've reached the end of this episode, but honestly, what we've covered today is just the tip of the Cartier iceberg. We've explored how the brand has cemented itself as a symbol of luxury and also how it's evolved, adapting to the world's changes while staying true to its roots. What's fascinating is that Cartier doesn't just create jewelry or watches, they create dreams, aspirations, and perhaps even a certain idea of happiness. But here's the question that remains. In a world where values, trends, and priorities are constantly shifting, what does luxury really mean today? Has Cartier, by embracing more ethical practices and staying at the forefront of trends, redefined luxury for the 21st century? Or does this timeless luxury, with its 175-year legacy, stand as a form of resistance in a world that's always on the move? In short, is true luxury about evolving while staying true to yourself? Think about it, because maybe that's the secret to Cartier's longevity, this ability to embody both the modern and the timeless. What do you think? Does Cartier represent the pinnacle of luxury for you? Or does luxury still need to reinvent itself to stay relevant? I'll leave you with that thought. Don't forget to share your opinions with us, and above all, stay curious. Because the world of luxury, like art and history, is an endless source of discovery. Thanks for tuning in to Cappuccino and Croissant, and I'll see you soon for another dive into the worlds that make us dream. All right, take care.